Hello, my brothers. Today, I want to have a genuinely honest conversation with you. Not the kind of talk meant to fill time, not entertainment, but because I know someone out there truly needs to hear this. You are past 60, some of you past 70. You have been through the kinds of ups and downs that younger men have not yet imagined. You built careers, raised children, and stood firm through the storms of life. But today, I want to ask you something directly. Have you ever felt like a teenager again, sitting there staring at your phone for hours, waiting for a message from a woman, analyzing every word, every period, every little emoji, wondering what she meant by using that particular one, wondering what you did wrong the last time you saw her, and then lying awake at night with no clear reason why? Meanwhile, the people who treat you well, the ones who are always there when you need them, somehow feel dull and uninteresting to you. Why is that? Why is the person causing you pain the one you cannot stop thinking about? Today, I am going to answer that question for you, and the answer will completely change the way you see everything. Stay with me until the end of this video, because the most important part is something very few people will say to you directly. Before we begin, hit like if this topic speaks to you, and do not forget to subscribe so you never miss what comes next. Let's start with a simple question. Have you ever been to Las Vegas or any casino in Atlantic City? Have you ever watched the people sitting at the slot machines? They sit there for hours, sometimes for days. Not because they are winning consistently. In fact, they are losing far more than they are winning, but they still cannot stand up and walk away. Why? The answer lies in how those machines are designed. They do not pay out on a regular schedule. There is no clear pattern. Sometimes you hit big, sometimes you walk away with nothing. That unpredictability is the secret. In psychology, this is called intermittent reinforcement. It is one of the most powerful psychological mechanisms known to science, powerful enough to turn a clear-thinking person into someone completely addicted. When a reward arrives unexpectedly and irregularly, our brains release enormous amounts of dopamine, far more than they would if the reward came on a predictable schedule. That is why people cannot pull themselves away from the machine. And now let me say this slowly and clearly, that exact same mechanism operates inside romantic relationships. On Monday, she sends you the sweetest messages. She tells you that you are the most special man she has ever met. You feel like you are on top of the world. Dopamine in your brain surges to its peak, but by Thursday, everything shifts. She replies with one word, or she disappears without explanation. Your dopamine crashes. You fall into a state of panic and intense craving. You start sending more messages. You start explaining yourself. You try every way you know to get that sweet feeling back. She has unknowingly turned herself into a slot machine. And you, the man who was once so rational and grounded, have become a gambler who cannot leave the floor. You are feeding your own self-respect into that machine day after day. Does any of this sound familiar, gentlemen? If it does, leave the number 1 in the comments below. Now, let me tell you the story of Joe. Joe is someone I got to know through a group in Arizona. He is 68 years old, a retired engineer, an intelligent, composed, and genuinely decent man. Joe joined a dating app after his divorce, and he met a woman who made a strong impression on him. During the first week, they talked until 2 a.m. She told Joe he was the most fascinating and engaging man she had ever met. Joe felt 20 years younger overnight. He messaged me and said he was genuinely happy. But in the second week, everything changed without warning. Joe sent his usual good morning message, but it was not until late that evening that she replied, just 3 words, "I am really busy." Joe started to worry. He went back over everything in his mind. He asked himself whether he had said something wrong the last time they spoke, whether he had done something to make her change like that. And then Joe did what a lot of you have done at some point. He had flowers delivered to her home as an apology. An apology for something he did not even know he had done. And what happened next? She suddenly became warm and sweet again, as though nothing had ever happened. Joe messaged me, "Everything is fine now." I asked him, "Where do you think you stand in all of this?" He was silent for a long time before he answered. Joe's story is not a unique one. I have heard countless versions of it from men just like you. This cycle has a name. It is called the hot and cold cycle. It alternates between warmth and distance with no predictable rhythm. It does not always come from deliberate calculation or bad intentions. Often it is a self-protective pattern. She worries that being too available will make her seem less valuable. She fears that being too easy to reach means you will stop appreciating her. But whether it is conscious or not, the result is the same. You get pulled into a spiral with no stopping point. You spend the majority of your energy trying to decode her behavior. And as you already know, the human brain loves solving puzzles, especially the ones with no clear answer. Let's move to the third point, and this one is more subtle. I call it the selective disappearing act. Picture this. You and she just had a beautiful evening together. The two of you had dinner at a quiet restaurant out in the suburbs. You shared stories you had never told anyone else. She listened and said she had never met anyone quite like you. You drove home feeling genuinely uplifted. You felt like you had found something truly precious. But the very next morning, your phone is silent. You send a message, no reply. You call, No answer. Yet she is posting on social media as though everything is perfectly normal. She posts a photo at a coffee shop with friends in the morning. She posts another photo of an afternoon walk through the park. But your message is still sitting there unread. What is actually happening here? This is the mechanism behind manufactured scarcity. When something that was present suddenly disappears, its value in our eyes spikes dramatically. That is basic psychology around scarcity and perceived worth. Think about it this way. If you drink water every single day, you do not think much of it. But if you were lost for 3 days in the Nevada desert, a single glass of water would be worth more than anything else on earth. She is applying that same principle to your emotions. She is deliberately starving you of emotional nourishment on a calculated schedule so that when she returns, you will value her twice as much. You will do anything to make sure she never disappears again. And that trap is set with remarkable skill and subtlety. Now let's talk about the fourth point, and this one matters just as much. It is when she mentions other men, not directly or openly, but in a very casual way as though it just came up. She mentions a colleague at work who is funny and charming, or an old friend who recently reached back out and has been very attentive. She does not say she is interested in any of them. She just mentions them briefly and then moves on. But inside your mind, something has been switched on. It is the competitive instinct that had been sleeping quietly for years. Even at 65, that instinct is still there. You do not want to lose to anyone. Her attention has suddenly become a prize, and you begin fighting for that prize without even realizing it. You start trying to prove you are more interesting, more worthwhile. You work to show her you are the most deserving option. But here is what you need to recognize right now. The moment you start trying to prove yourself, you have already diminished yourself. You have shifted from being the one who chooses to being the one who is waiting to be chosen. And that is a very dangerous reversal of position. And now we arrive at the part I promised you from the beginning. This is what very few people will say to you directly. Take a slow, deep breath before you hear this. The truth is, you may not love her the way you think you do. I understand that is difficult to hear, but please be patient and let me explain fully. What you are feeling is very real and very powerful. I am not dismissing that for even a moment, but the source of that feeling is not pure love. It is a chemical dependency happening inside your brain. You are addicted to the cycle of suffering followed by happiness. You are addicted to the feeling of anxiety followed by relief. When she disappears, you feel a sharp ache in your chest. You call it your heart missing her. But what is actually happening is your body going through withdrawal. Exactly like someone dependent on a substance when it is taken away. The feeling is real, but the cause is not love. The cause is a chemical imbalance in the brain. Psychologists call this crystallization. When we love someone in this particular way, we are not loving who they actually are. We are loving the idealized image we have constructed of them ourselves. We only remember the moments when she was warm and tender. We deliberately erase the moments when she was cold and indifferent. We are in love with the potential of the relationship, not the reality of the person standing in front of us right now. And when you recognize this, everything begins to shift. If this feels true for you, leave the word awakened in the comments below, because that awakening is the very first step toward freedom. So what do you actually do now? I am not going to leave you sitting here without a practical answer. The Emperor Marcus Aurelius, who lived by Stoic philosophy, said this. He said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. She may go cold, she may disappear. That is her right, and it is not within your control. But how you respond, that belongs entirely to you. And that is where you need to direct every ounce of your strength. The first step is to stop chasing immediately. When she pulls back, do not ask why. Do not explain yourself. Do not send more messages. Do not send flowers or gifts. Stand still like a boulder in the middle of a moving current. Your silence is the most powerful message you can send. It shows her you are not easily pulled off course. It shows her you do not need her approval to be okay. And that is what women truly respect at the deepest level. The second step is the principle of matching energy. Reflect back exactly the level of energy she is giving you. If she takes 5 hours to reply, do not respond within 5 seconds. If she is half-hearted in conversation, do not pour yourself into it completely. This is not a psychological game or a manipulation tactic. This is a man's self-respect made visible. You cannot keep pouring water into a vessel with a hole in the bottom. Let your energy flow toward the places that are worthy of receiving it. The third step is to build genuine abundance in your own life. This is the most important of the three. At 65, you are at a very particular and remarkable stage. You have time, experience, and a kind of freedom that younger people simply do not have. Use those things to build a rich and full life. The interests you set aside long ago, reclaim them now. The old friends you drifted away from, reach back out and reconnect. The trips you always dreamed of taking, start planning them today. When your life is already full and rich, her presence becomes something that adds to it rather than something you depend on entirely. And here's the strangest paradox in the psychology of attraction. When you no longer need her in order to feel okay, you become far more compelling to her. Genuine abundance that does not require anyone's approval is the most powerful form of attraction there is. My dear friends, let me close with this. Life is too short to chase after illusions. You have lived long enough to know what truly has value. You have been through enough to have nothing left to prove. A man at your stage of life does not need to bow for anyone's attention. You deserve a relationship that is real, stable, and sincere, one that does not keep you awake at night with worry, but lets you sleep soundly because you feel genuinely at peace. The dopamine rush will fade, but respect endures. Remember that the next time you pick up your phone and ask yourself whether you should send that message. If this video touched something in you, hit like and share it with the brothers in your life who are drifting and need to hear this. Subscribe so we can keep walking this road together. Next week, I will be talking about a related topic that goes even deeper into the practical side of all of this. Wishing you strength and always the clear knowledge of your own worth. I will see you in the next video, gentlemen. Take good care.